when you're working with epoxy, you have to go to any length you can to try and round what you're working with. If you go with it square, octagon like that, you're still running a risk of it catching. Okay, so on a piece like this, for instance, I'll take that, and you can see that I've trimmed off the corners to bring it down because I'm making an ornament with it. I've knocked off the corners here. Now that's done on a bandsaw. Okay, but the best way to do it, and I brought the box here, you can see that's a simple retail oscillating sanding machine. Okay, if I take the square like that and I put it on that machine, I can round it off very easily. Okay, once I get it, 75% round, I'm not dealing with the problem of damaging my acrylic or epoxy for that matter. Okay, you can go with it, but it takes a lot of experience and it's not worth it. And any professional working with resin will tell you they'll take the time to round it before they put it on the lathe. It's just that much easier, Like, it's not hard to take this part down here, but if I get a machine that can do it in 4 little passes and not 35 back and forth, it's exactly what I'm going to do, So to prepare these molds, I used the kits that we had. Remember the kits for 25 bucks that I was selling everybody? Okay. And the interesting thing about those kits is they're not designed to do this. But, I decided I'm going to do it anyways. So I wanted to show a couple of examples. I'm going to come up in the front because, first off, these are 3 different types of easy molds to make. And anybody here have any experience with molds at all? No? Okay. So which one do you think is the best one out of that for doing it, what I'm doing? Which one? Yeah, the red tape, you would be right. You would be right. So that's actually pretty good, okay? I'll show you the difference. That's made 120 pepper mills, okay? And you can see how it hasn't fallen apart, right? That's it when it's brand new. It's never been used before, okay? It's ideal for making pepper mills for me because I think it's the size of a pepper mill, or 2, I should say. Yeah, you do have to put a release on it. There's no question, okay? This one here, this is what you're being sold in the stores, okay? Now the color blue, if you see somebody who wants to sell you a molding of the color blue, run. Because this one here has been used about 4 times. You can see how it's turning white and it's starting to fall apart because it's not a good quality. It's not made for the heat or the chemicals inside of it. So when it's a color like this or even black, that's when you've got a good quality silicone that's going to go the distance, because this is made actually for heat. It's designed for heat. This one is not designed for heat. They're not good quality. This is what a lot of people use. I do have them, but again, the issue with these is, like, I don't know if you can see it closely. I don't know where to put this. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of turned in and it's curled a little bit, okay? And that is because this is HDAP, and what happens to this with the type of resin that I put in, it's making the heat react and not come out well enough. So it's overheating, okay? Same time, same pot, thicker pour, 1/4-inch plywood with tape, and that's it. And that, you can see no shrinking, just about perfect. Okay, it does shrink a little bit because it's under pressure, but not this type of shrinking. That when you see that sort of thing happen again, where am I going? Yeah, when you see that sort of alligator look, that's because it really was getting hot. Okay, it was getting hot here as well too, but not as hot because it didn't compress into itself. I don't know if I'm making the words right or not, but so. And again, like, these are convenient, but the other problem with buying something like this is it's 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches by 2.5 inches, which is supposed to be enough to make a bottle stopper, right? The problem is that the chances of you actually pouring enough epoxy in there and it's staying at that level is almost nil. So it's rendered useless if you're trying to make a proper square out of it. Because no matter what you do when you're pouring epoxy, you're never going to get a perfect top. You can get almost perfect. So you'll be lucky if you get 1 3/8 out of that. You'll have to bring it down, which means that you'll have to trim it on at least 2 sides to be able to use it properly to square it up to go into the lathe, you know? So they're not worth the money. You're better off just taking the time building that. And that is, believe it or not, even though they've got all these convenient big molds and this, that, and the next thing, this is what's preferred over the professionals. They'll try and tell you on programs, this is what we're going to use. This is a nuisance to put together. You still got to take silicone and trap it up. You know, it gets into the screws. You can see there's screws there that, you know. This one now I just take this side off and bust it out. And when it breaks, it'll go in the garbage, you know. So, yeah. 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 Well, yeah. I don't disagree with you on. I don't disagree with you. It's just that no, the HDBEP. Yeah. The issue with that though is that there's maintenance and upkeep on this. This literally, if you look at it, it's leftover plywood, and you can buy a sheet of this for $45. Now, if I have a sheet of this for $45, doing what I do, okay, I mean, just the decorations I'm making today, we're making 400 of them, okay? They'll go forever, you know? So, and it's just the easiest, simplest way to do it, and it's actually less time making this than it is making that, because putting that together is a pain in the ass, you know? So, next thing is, it's funny how you have it all planned out, and then you get up here and you're not sure where to go. So, yeah. Well, you could put it in a pressure pot, and I will tell you that one of the things is that I am doing them out of a pressure pot with deep cast when it's a dark color like this, okay? When it's a dark color like that, it's fine. But if I'm doing something that's translucent like this, I run the risk, and you will see later on, of getting tiny gas bubbles inside. And the problem with that is that it's not, I mean, it's okay, but if you're doing something clear, it really, it stands out, you know? If you have a little bit of mica epoxy in it, I mean, a powder in it, like a little thumbful to a big thing, it sort of makes it look like swirly ice, I guess you could say, you know? That sort of masks it a little bit, but pressure pot is the easiest way to go, yes, you know? So, and I wouldn't do this thick of a pour if it wasn't under pressure, because doing something like that can catch fire if it's left out in the open, you know, because in a pressure pot you don't have oxygen, so no, it does get quite hot, but it doesn't combust, you know. So, you know, I have seen pictures though, like films. Ben's Works, he's an Australian wood turn or resin turner. He actually in his pressure pot puts examples where he puts a marshmallow inside of he's making an egg, but he films it, and it's really quite neat to see because the marshmallow starts to melt, cook, and by the time it's finished, it looks like almost like a nuclear cloud. It's actually quite neat. And Ben's work, if you're into resin turning, he's one of the best online. I'm pretty sure Nicole's aware of him. I think so. Yeah, yeah. He's very interesting because he's very innovative, and he's willing to try all sorts of different crazy things. You know, so you know. I guess that's it for the setup. I don't know if you want to pass this around for people to take a look. I mean, it's you can feel the cheapness of it, I guess you could say. You know, so. All right, so I guess I'll get ready to turn. So we're going to turn something special today. So, well, when I say special, it's just a Christmas ornament, but It's too bad Bernie wasn't here because Bernie was one of the inspirations for this. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, he came in and he gave a report with Jim on the success of the Christmas drive. And he said the one thing that was lacking for the Christmas drive that he heard was that there was no color. There was no pizzazz to the president. They're always the same thing, sort of thing. And that got me to thinking, and I wish he was here to talk, but I've got one thing I got to do before that. Okay, another important thing is, and this is not for most of the people in the front row, as I look, I need to square this off, okay? And the reason why I want to square it off is because I want it to be as accurate inside the jig. So that's just going to help me line up. So I do this 5 times a day at the end of the day to keep stock going. And I can do this with my eyes closed. I guarantee you I'm going to mess it up tonight. So, okay. Exactly. So, all right. Somebody's stolen my spade bit. The heck is my spade bit? Ah, there it is. Okay, so step number 1. I should mention too that everybody will there will be a challenge for this at the end of the night, so pay attention. I know that everybody has different ways of doing things, and you don't necessarily have to make what I'm making, but if you do take some of them and you want to do what I'm doing, I provided all of the hardware needed to do a couple. Okay, so, and I do realize that there's different ways of doing things. This is just the way that worked for me. That works pretty good, I think, you know. So the reason why I'm doing this right now is because it's going to serve 2 purposes. It's going to give me a very flat edge to work with, and also a very good center. So, yeah, there we go. So, just out of curiosity, does anybody know this machine? What like 1 is 500, 10 is 1,000, or that's it? Yeah. No, because I tried it before, so I would think so. So that's about 500. All right, so I'm going around 500 now. I'm gonna bring that up, lock it in, and I'm just gonna turn gently, and that's basically it. So what I've done with that, it's leveled, like it's square. Okay, I'm gonna have a good place for my drill bit to go in. Okay. Well, basically, yeah. But I mean, it's you know, to be honest with you, I didn't do that in the beginning. I just chucked it in, and went, there it is. Okay, away we go. And you know, half the time it would work. The other half of the time, I would wonder what was going on, right? So, you know, it's a necessary step, especially when you're doing 500 of them. It's annoying, but okay. So, I am using for my little thing a 33/64, just slightly bigger than a 1/2 inch. But it helps the insert that I'm going to put in go better. You can use a 1/2 inch, and I've actually given inserts that you can only use a 1/2 inch. This one will be too big, because you'll see in a minute why. And so I got to plug this in. Gonna need this soon. So, yeah, that's 220. Yeah. Well, there you go. Dominic's going to get a good laugh out of that. We tried all night to keep that thing going. Okay, so I think I might be taking it off to show you. So there we go. So on this piece, should have never taken it off, huh? What's that? No, I know. Well, it's nerves. I think I'm okay though. Okay, so on this piece here, I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and a little bit more than that. Sorry, guys, not used to the lathe. Here we go. So what I want to do with this piece here is I want to go slow with the drill because I think I've done it. I want to be able to get. There we go. So what I've managed to accomplish with that is making it so that if I put a light or something in there, I'm through. Okay, so next step, just to the epoxy. You want to go slow. I mean that was like, that doesn't happen too often. Usually you're going in and out because you just want to kiss it a bit. You don't want to be more than like 1/8 of an inch is not too much, but it does reflect when you're looking at it. Certain lights, you know, it'll show. So, you know, and that's because you're working with burl as well too, because you can see that's a little bit of. I think it's Padak. So, all right. Next step. I'll put the insert on, but I don't put it the way it's supposed to go. Not with the clean collar on the inside. I reverse it. And I'll put that on like that. Then I'll put this back on. And I will take my hot glue gun, which is not going to reach. I'm going to bring this guy up fairly close. So I'm going to take the hot glue gun and I'm going to put glue on the end here. And I can't do this because I'm used to having this with holding my hand when I'm doing it. No, it's all right. It's not going to help. It's not going to be permanent. So then I take this right away. And I know this sounds crazy, but this has got to be the best way to do this. Press it as hard as you can. Let go. Take it off. And for what it's worth, that's in there pretty good. Okay? That's going to stay. So it's not super strong, but you need to take that out afterwards. That's why you're doing it this way. Okay? So the other good thing about this part being dug out with 1.5 inches is that's what you need to work with. So everything outside that 1.5 inches is waste. So you have a very good idea what you need to take off, right? You can run it through the table saw, band saw, or like I said, go to a circular sander and just sand off the edges really cleanly. That machine is actually quite good for doing it, and it's affordable. If you if you're interested in getting one of those, they're not industrial machines, but you'll see them come up on Facebook because people buy them, they use them 3-4 times, and then they realize, I don't need this thing. You know, it's weekend warriors. So the Ridgeon ones are all plastic. They're not very good. Triton is actually, you know, Triton's sort of like, it's like Bosch. It's sort of in between professional and amateur, you know? So anyways, so that's that. So I explained to you what I was telling you about knocking off the corners and stuff. So what I do is I have a slide, and I didn't bring it here, but I just have a little sled that goes on my bandsaw that's on like about a 35 to 40 degree angle, and I just knock off all 4 corners as I'm going along, you know. Very easy to do. It saves me the time, and on some of them I save the chips because the chips make really interesting pepper mills and bottle stoppers and stuff when cast in epoxy, you know. So this is the one I'm doing for tonight. See, it's rounded off, okay. I've got, you know, like I didn't do a lot of rounding. It's because I wanted to show you the impact of not having it as round as this, okay? So I got to make sure this goes in tight. Again, okay, I've marked it off. I want to make sure that I'm pretty well balanced when I'm doing it. So tighten it up fairly good. That locks it in, right? Okay. And then a couple of weeks back I was here and I brought a kit. That's a kit that I brought, minus one of the ruffers because I don't need both ruffers, okay? I brought the bits, which I'll pass around again. These are negative rate bits. This is a negative rate roughing bit, and then it's negative rate finishing bit. That roughing bit seems like it's got value to it. It's one of the, probably the least used that I'm using now, because it doesn't really rough things because it's round. It's more of a finisher. No, they're both negative. They're both negative. Yeah. To be honest with you, to me, positive is not that effective. There are times when it's effective, like for instance, if you really want to gouge out material and get it straight and square. But most of the time, I'm using the small round one. So okay. So this is the kit that I bought the other week. Every tool cost with tip $15. Okay, there's nothing wrong with these tools at all. There's nothing wrong. So $189, $37 for the tip. So it's literally $37 for the tip, and I can guarantee you these tips are no different than the ones you're buying from Amazon. A kit that those kits right there, the most expensive one is actually the little one, which is $40. No, 47. So Ozzy and I just were looking at them, $35 for 10. For 10, 37 for one. So no, they're good tools. There's no question that they're good tools, but I don't see the reason, So, all right. So, let me proceed. So, no, it's I wouldn't worry too much. These are rated for. Okay, so the one thing about doing this is when you start working with it, you have to realize that where your headstock is, you don't have strength. That's why you want this to be tight when you're doing it, okay? There's, like I would say, 1 in every 10 or 15, I have a failure. I have to take it off and re-glue it. When you do the gluing, that's another thing. This is DeWalt, and I heard somebody talk about how cheap it is at the dollar store. There's a reason why it's cheap at the dollar store. It doesn't harden. When that white stuff gets heated, it goes down in value. This is ceramic from Stanley that's sold under DeWalt, which is actually stronger, but it takes 1 to 2 days to really set back up. So if you're going to do these bottle stoppers, go to the step that I've done here. Put them aside for the night, maybe even a day, and then come back. It'll just be a little bit harder for you to do it, because if you do get catches, what's going to happen is it's going to spin it, and if it spins it good enough, it'll just knock it out, because the glue is round on the wood, right? And it doesn't really absorb into the wood. So just be aware of that, So now when it comes to doing this, I mean, most of you know, and I think Giuliano taught us that tonight, you're going to see when I start turning it, the wood is very easy to turn. I'm not concerned about the wood. It's the actual epoxy itself, okay? I want to be very gentle with it to get my feel for it, and you're going to see it come off in little chips. Another thing that I failed to mention was, when I do this at home, I have this, which basically goes there, and this will actually go in front of mine. Okay, so this, with a 2 horsepower cyclone system, I don't get a buildup, which I'm going to get tonight. Okay, you can still do the same thing by just putting a vacuum close to it, because you're going to see once I get it round, it's going to start coming off in literally like threads. And if you have enough power sucking it, it's going to catch it and it will just keep going. So when I turn somebody like this, I have maybe 15% that have bunched up at the end, and I'll just push them out of the way, you know. So if you're doing it at home, it's frustrating when it's building up like that because you don't know where you're going with it. But you know, it's just a matter of stopping it and just pushing it aside. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, that'll be there for life. So, all right. Here goes, guys. Yeah, a little too slow. You see, I'm getting the feel of it. I'm getting little shards coming off. So I just need to be patient. There we go. So you see how it's coming off in little bits? The reason why it's coming off in little bits like that is because it's not square. So I'm just taking little chunks out, right? So my job is to be patient. Just go back and forth. Just getting a little bit more round. A little more round. Just about there. There we go. That tells me that I'm 100% round right now. As I said before, if I had this right now, it would just be going right down the system. So epoxy is not that messy if you just figure out how you're going to work with it, you know? So you can see that the wind would just catch that and suck it right in. So still a little bit square there. Okay. So we're pretty round here. I mean, we've got a little bit of squareness here, a little bit of tear out, which is kind of disappointing, but yeah, anyways. So I'm going to proceed. I think this is going faster than mine. Like mine, I usually turn these at about 1700. So I think this has got to be a little bit faster than 1700, you know? Well, it's really, you know, with epoxy, I'll be honest with you, going fast, not a good thing because if you have a minor little catch, you're not going to be happy. You know what I'm saying? But I don't disagree with it. Like there's a million ways to do it to skin a cat, right? So that's the rougher. This is what I use it for more than anything. You can see it's very aggressive. And you can see if this catches the wrong way on something square, it's just going to rip it out, and you know, psst, away you go. So, you know, it's also can be used to do a little bit of detail as well too. One of the things I do use it for, and I'm just going to show you now, is a scraper. So it's as good as using, you can get a pretty nice finish if you're patient with it. All right. So if I try to bring this down, I could probably do it with time and patience, but going on an angle to try and take it off, because that's what you have to do with a scraper. You run the risk of it catching, especially like on wood. It's pretty forgiving because it'll rip the wood right out. With the epoxy, might work 99% of the time, but that 1% is going to send you back to the drawing board, you know? So now that I got that done, what I want to do is I want to work on bringing a tip. And by doing the tip, and I know this, not working on this one, I was working this today because I turned two of these today without any vacuum to try and see how I can get rid of this stuff because it'll drive you nuts, right? So, but you can see how easy it is. It's not dangerous, and I'm definitely not getting chip outs. So, now, I wanted to show you what it's like with a $65 kit, which you can see is, it does the job, right? I mean, I don't think there's a single person in this room that will not be able to turn with this kit. So, cheap carbide tools, they have a purpose, right? It's a little bit bigger, a little bit more aggressive, will definitely do the job a little quicker. There's no question about it. Not necessarily much quicker, but you know, I gotta be honest with you too though. Like on something this size, I don't mind working with the smaller ones. You know, the one thing I will tell you is that you can get into grooves, I guess, more, you know? So, here, I'm going to turn this off and clean this up a bit. That's a frustrating thing about demoing something like this, is because we should have a larger machine. I mean, a large vacuum that can handle this, you know? Because who does epoxy at home? Ozzy, you're doing it? You're doing it, Andre? Yeah. You're using a vacuum system, I take it? Yeah, yeah. So you agree with me, right? It's important to, because this is a nuisance. But it's only a nuisance because, well, yeah, yeah. Well, I guess I could, but you know, yeah. So again, the thing, okay. So the thing about using this little block in the front here, it's really just a 3/4 inch dowel that I cut off. It's a little bit smaller now because I've been using it for a while. You don't want it to get much more smaller than that, because then it doesn't have the integrity to hold this in place, okay? But the good thing about having it is, and hopefully you can see, is that when I want to go down here and start rounding it off, I'm hitting the wood. So I'm not worried about damaging my blade or anything else for that matter, you know? So that's the advantage of having that. So I'm just going to try and trim this up a bit so that it looks half decent. And I'm really not going to spend too much time doing it, because this is kind of sort of the boring part of things. But yeah, it'll drive you nuts, huh? Like it's been driving, like 2 times I did it today, and it's driving me nuts. Like I was almost thinking, I wonder if I could bring the system here. Would it work, you know? So nobody would be able to hear anybody, but so that's not cleaned up quite well. I guess I'll do a couple more passes and see if I can make it more clean for you. Oh, it doesn't matter. This is, to be honest with you, I'm making enough of these. I refer more to sandpaper than I do anything else. Oh yeah, well that's true. Yeah, you have a point. No. Dominic told me that you guys do it. So, sorry. Okay, I'm looking for a different. So, I've got 2 different tools that I use here. Okay, that's your traditional like, yeah. Then I've got this one here. I don't know if anybody can see it at all, but can you see it there? No? Okay, here we go. So, yeah, there we go. All right. So I don't know if you can see it from that angle, but this is just a beading bit, okay? So this beading bit is pretty easy and pretty simple, but it's also very expensive. And how many beads can you make before it starts tearing out? Because what I'm about to do right now, it's really easy to tear it out. Yeah, no, I mean, I can pass it around for people to look, but I don't know if it's again, it's a very expensive tool that I don't find that useful. It is and it isn't. It's more useful if you're doing something very, very decorative. But if you're doing something for production. So, this one here, And there's, I'm just making the little things. So I guess you guys are starting to see what it looks like. Now where did the other one go? Ah, there we are. Hey, did anybody see a pencil? There it is. All right. So this actually works well with a felt pen as well too. And you can take the thing and burn it. There's no problem to do that. The only thing is with the burning, what did happen to me when I was doing burl, I went through the burl and I cut it off. Yeah, yeah. And it's time consuming. And you know, it's not dangerous, but it's not safe either. So this guy here, pencil, stick it in. There you go. And you got yourself. So next would be, in my ideal world, I would sand this. Now, on my machine, it reverses. So I sand in reverse. I find it's more comfortable, safer, and more goes into your vacuum than coming towards you, you know? So I would level it off a bit better. I'm not really overly concerned about it, but I am concerned about one thing that's really important when it comes to epoxy, and that's making sure that you're sanding properly, okay? These guys are available at Woodchucker. It's Sierra, I think, is sandpaper. Purple sandpaper, very good quality. It's like every professional sandpaper is basically that color, you know, like it's when you get up to a certain level. Then when you get past it, it changes. The good stuff about this is that I can use these pieces. I'll go from 80 to 600. I color the back of what I'm using because half the time I don't know. You can see this piece here, nothing on it, so I don't know what it is. But I do because it's going to be 400, or sorry, 320. All right, I don't skip. I go from 80, 220, or sorry, 120, 150, 180, 220, right up to 600. And then at 600, I will take the final paper, stop this, and I will sand this way to get rid of the little lines. And the reason why you want to do that is because those little lines will dog you even if you continue going up. Okay, you're going to start wet sanding. So, you know, a lot of times when you're wet sanding, you think you've got it because the water is filling up the small, imperfections. You know? So by sanding this way a little bit with it, makes all the sense because it knocks those lines out and gives you a good, because when you're going up to 800, 1,000, you're starting to get to the point where it doesn't really create lines, it creates smoothness, okay? Giuliano taught us something that's very important. You don't need to sand a lot. You really don't. This pile here, that's going from 80 to 600, will last me for about 40, maybe 50 of these guys, okay? The reason why is because 80 I might use a little bit more aggressive if I'm not clean on it, but then I'm just pass 1, 2, 3 times. Next one, 1, 2, 3. That's all it takes. You don't need to press. You don't need to have it. And I don't go at a high speed. I think the highest I'll go is maybe 1,100. I'm usually coming in around 9, 1,000. You know, so you know. Now I stop at 600 for a reason. I stop at 600 because then I take it to a lathe, to a spraying booth, and I spray it with lacquer. You know, so if it's a wood one, which you'll see at the end, I'll usually take that and I'll use Osmos. And I brought Osmos here. I got 2 types. I got a satin and I've got a gloss. Now these 2 little cans here I bought in June, I think. Was it June? Yeah. And I've literally used them. I've made, I'm going to say, at least 60 pepper mills, wood, not epoxy because I don't use it on, I only use it on wood. And I've done, I'd say, close to 120 of bottle stoppers like this. And I've still got like a full can of it left. It's $27, I think, or $29 a Woodchucker, $32 everywhere else. It's very, very, very good stuff. And I was a painting contractor for 45 years, so I'm endorsing something that makes sense. Because a lot of this stuff out there, and everybody's got their opinion, and it's okay with that opinion, but a lot of it is just junk. You know, doing these, I've tried everything. I've tried everything. It looks great when it's on the lathe. When you're looking at these guys using it on YouTube, that stuff works. I'm going to buy it. Then you get it. It looks really nice. You get it off the lathe. 20 minutes later, it dries. It's not so nice anymore. It doesn't have a nice gloss to it. It doesn't have a nice feel or finish, and they dry up quickly. You know. So this is something. If you guys haven't used it before, I know that Andre, you use it on a regular basis. Doug uses it on a regular basis. Well, I'm using it. This is the 343. No, this is the hard wax. Hard wax, yeah. The poly oil, yeah. It's very, very, very good stuff. Very good stuff. Well, here, so, this is, I think it's the most popular, although Doug likes the satin. I mean, you know, here, do pass both of them around, you know. So, 3011 is gloss. The other one is satin. So, the thing with the gloss is you've got to make sure that you're stirring it on a regular basis, because what people don't realize is that gloss is just it's an emollient inside the paint. Like this I've known for years. And if you don't stir it well, it'll settle. So, yes, I know, Roy. Roy and I are on the same page with a lot of stuff, because I still think they should bring back lead paint. So, yes. It does, but it takes a long time to skin over. It takes a long time. Yeah, like you have to be. I'll put it this way: you have to have done a pepper mill on Thursday, and then gone away for the weekend, got drunk on that Sunday night, and said I'm not going to work, and then go back on the shop on Tuesday and go, damn it, I didn't put the lid on. So, okay. So the other thing too is I've got this here, which is again, it's like I'm working for these guys. William Woodwright, I think they're $15, and again, these will go forever. And this is if you want to do something like this and you wanted to have it a beautiful shine on epoxy, not wood. Yes, of course. But again, putting it in water, and you know, if you take a dot and you mark your side, use that side, continue to use that side until you think you're not getting good results, then switch over to the other side, because these will go literally for 100 pepper mill or bottle stoppers like this, if not more. You know, you don't need to go long on them. It's once you see you're starting to get like the water, like you know, I take a sponge and just drip it over. When I see it starts to getting a little bit of white look to it, I'll stop right away and go to the next number. So, and I'll wipe it off before I do it. You know, so. Okay, so next step, and this is the scary one if you're doing it. You've got to take this off. Now, if you have a catch right now, this is probably going to go off and... No, Michelle. But don't worry, Louis got you covered. So I actually like riding a little high over the center. There you go. It's happening. It's not fast enough, that's why. So all I'm doing is rounding this over. And for the peace sake, I'll leave it alone, because once I finish that, I will basically stop it, reverse my machine at home, because my machine is nice to me because I know it, and I'll sand it off, and I have a perfect little sanding. I'm ready to go, okay? So, now that I've finished that, I got to turn this off. Okay. What's that? Well, you might be onto something there, son. So now that I've got it off, I have to take this little sucker out. Okay? So, best way to do this. Don't worry, fire department's right next door, guys. So, we'll be all right. Doesn't take long. Just make sure you go the right way when you're doing it. Okay. Slip this back on quick. And usually by the time you've gotten it on, in an ideal world, you're ready to pull it off. Now remember I said ideal world. So There we go. All right. Probably could have heated it for a little bit more. And that's it. So that can be, you can take that off right away, or you can wait. It's going to be easy to remove it from the thing. That's ready for the next one. Okay. So this is important again, and this is for the guys who are not doing this on a regular basis. Your next best friend, and I'm sorry it's not a Dremel. I'm sorry. So this little guy here, I'm going to plug him in. Oh yeah, not that's right. Okay. Oh, if you insist. All right. So here we go. Left-handed. So you got to go careful with this. You're using a 3/8 sanding bit. Now I actually have a wood chisel like gouge thing that I use at home that works a little bit better. But you just want to get this open a little bit because here we go. You have a gasket in here that you want to fit. You want this to fit as well as possible. So I am not there yet. Doesn't take a long time, but you also don't want to go too fast because you'll burn your sandpaper if you do it. All right. You'll see, my friend. You'll see. So let's see if that's going to do it. So put the gasket at the beginning. And I could probably go a little bit more with it, but I won't. No, I need a little bit more. Be patient. There we go. We're ideal now. So I usually take a little putty knife, there we are, and I'll just tuck this down into it. And before I do that, I'm going to do one other thing, and Damian will like this, because it's now time for the CA part of the night. Okay? It's a brand new thing, and it's got one of these safety caps on it, and I don't know how to get it off. Yeah. So, no, it's fine. It's fine. This stuff, by the way, guys, Langevin sells it. And the reason why Langevin sells it is because they listen to basically contractors. They listen to craftsmen, okay? I mean, there's other stuff on the market, but that's $9.95 for this little one. This is extra thin, which I like because it's good for when you're just painting things, you know. So, but all as I do is I just put a drop of this inside of it. And the reason why I put it in, no, because I usually use the I've got a tip at home on it, you know. So the reason why I put it in there is because that little exposed part there, I want it to be varnished, and that's the best way to do it. Okay, so I mean I can obviously do it a better way than that when I'm doing it, but then I take this guy, put him inside, and I'm not gonna let you put through the headache of doing that, but there you go. So that's what I made. It's not very pretty, I'm sure, because we did have it set up, but it fell over. So that's my little tree. So yeah, these things are pathetic. So I mean, it'll stay on your tree, but you can see we've got ones that light up. Whoop, thanks. So, and I've made them in all different, here, I'll just put it here. So I made these in all different shapes and sizes, and turn that on. So, isn't that pretty, yeah? So, and it's too bad Nicole left because I had one for her daughter. So, anyways, that's it, you know. So, what, like I said, this came up because of Bernie suggesting that we try and do something to make more colorful, okay? Now, Doug more or less brought up the thing of a challenge. And when I spoke to these guys a couple of months ago, I said, look, you know, there's wood turners that, like, a lot of guys are interested. I sold like 25 of the kits for epoxy, yet I haven't seen too many people bring them back in. And I think that's because they just don't know what to do or whatever, you know. I hope I've been explanatory enough for you guys to understand the basics of it, and not to be afraid of doing it. I recommend carbon. There are people that will use for conventional tools, but even guys that you look, they're starting with it. Like, they'll use a bowl gouge to round off a piece of epoxy, even though it's round, to clean it up. A sharp medium bowl gouge, okay? It's maybe a good tool. I'm pretty sure Damiano has his own way of doing things and stuff, but for me, carbide is just that much more friendly and makes that much more sense when it comes to doing epoxy, especially a combination of epoxy and wood, because that carbide cutter can be pretty gentle when it's crossing over, as you can see tonight, you know. So anyways, I hope I made some sense, but I've got 20 pairs of these. I'm going to ask you to come up and sign a thing, like just put your name on a paper. If anybody wants, I have 2 blanks for each person and hardware to put it together. Okay, there's even for, like, if you don't think you want to put a light inside of it, you can take, there's a plug in there that you can use. That plug will work with a 1/2 inch as well too. Okay, there's the insert, 2 hooks, and Nigel gave me the little hooks that go inside of it. So there's, you know, everything is there for you. So I don't want people taking these and just putting them on the shelf at home. Okay, they cost money. The club did pay for me to not make them. They paid for the materials to make them. So, you know, so if you're going to take them, please turn them. I hope you do, because I really think that it's worth it. You don't have to do what I did. You can do anything else if you want with them. Just take them home and put them to good use. If you don't use the hardware, just bring it back, and you know, I can credit the club, or they can repurpose it to somebody, you know. So, you know, yeah. Well, so I'm sorry, I do have to say one thing. The agreement I have with the club is that one is to go to the Christmas club, the other one can go to, you know, a relative, a friend on your tree, you know. So it just, like, to me, it's a good little challenge to take, and it'll give you your forte into wood turning. I mean, if you have a failure with it, don't be shy to bring it back in and say, look, this is what happened, you know. So I'm pretty sure between myself, Damiano, Andre, Ozzy, Doug, and anybody else who's turned epoxy here, we can give you some sort of advice as to why it didn't work, you know. So, all right, everything good. So anyways, I have 2 each here.